I'd like to welcome you guys to this week's report. It's been another good week of fishing here in Southern California, and we've got plenty of good weather in the forecast. Actually, this weekend looks like some of the best weather we've had in a while, so you got your fishing options pretty much open wherever you decide to go. Why don't we head out to the map and take a look at what's happening. Starting up at the Channel Islands, as usual, the fishing's kind of more miss and hit up there right now. The hot sea bass bite that was happening kind of dropped off, as was expected after the full moon. There's still some fish being caught there. A few sport boats had limits at different times during the week, but overall it's kind of a random pick. My friend Scott Summerskill was up there fishing calicos at Santa Cruz the other day. Got this really nice sea bass on a big hammer swim bait, and so you always have a shot of them. But overall, I would say that bite's kind of off. The boats up there, though, have been getting really good barracuda fishing up that way. Boats that are fishing for them. And something I saw in a report from the Island Spirit is they're actually treating these barracuda a lot better than they used to, not just jamming them in the gunny sacks all day, but having them in like an iced brine, which will make actually a pretty good product if you want to take those things home and eat them. So that's nice to see those boats doing that. Heading down to San Clemente Island. Still good fishing on the front side for the sport boats. They're getting yellows, some bass. Yellowtail bite has not been as good as it was. There's still plenty of fish there. They're also getting some fish on the back, so I guess there's some squid at the island. The seiners are working the backside and getting squid, so I don't know if the sport boats are getting it or not, but if you're a private boater heading over there, you might want to check that out if you're interested in getting some squid and fishing yellows. But I fished the island on Friday with my friend Chris Oakes, and we started out on the backside east end and had good fishing right off the bat in a very small area with conditions, but conditions were pretty hard to find, and we, moved around a bunch, found a few spots of biting fish, caught, if you found current, it was running anywhere but straight off the beach, you got fish, but there wasn't a lot of that. So we ended up running up the front to look for yellows, and the water on the east end front side was just super clear and not really any conditions there. We got a few small bass. And then we got to Gold Bluff and we pulled up, and there was a real slight breezer showing on the actual high spot of the spot there, for lack of a better term. And we pulled up, and I mean, it was just barely rippling. So you have the wind coming down the island, and it just looked like a little bit of wind ripple going the other direction. And that was a big school of yellows that flashed the boat real quick. We had a couple follow the jig in, but they wouldn't bite it. And within a few minutes, we had a sea lion on us that pretty much hung under the boat and shut everything down. But we saw the Freedom nearby, and we heard him over the PA saying, as they were pulling up, "Yeah, go ahead. There's some yellows here, but if you hook one, 1,000-pound sea lion's probably going to eat it." So that kind of talks about, gives you the idea how those sport boats are feeling over there. There's a lot of sea lions, and they're very keyed in on eating your fish off. So something to keep in mind. You might want to stick and move if you're over there on your own boat, or avoid that altogether and just go fish bass, and hopefully a better current than I did and actually catch something. On a brighter note, we drove a lot more than we thought we did, and ended up big rookie mistake for me. Ended up running out of gas about a half mile from the harbor mouth, and thanks to Cody Merrick from Boat US from coming out and bringing us some extra fuel and getting us home safely. I'm going to skip Catalina today because it's pretty much just status quo over there. Nothing really exciting to talk about, and head into the beach. The bite along the coast for the sport boats is mostly sculpin right now up in Long Beach and Santa Monica Bay and stuff, but there's plenty of fish to be caught there. Jimmy Decker was out earlier this week with a charter group, and he fished artificial reefs and rocks and stuff like that off Huntington for good bass fishing. They have nice sea bass as well. And I've heard of other boats that have been fishing both below Newport Harbor and also at PB that have had pretty good fishing as well. So find warmer water, cleaner water along the beach with some current, and there's a good chance you're going to catch some fish. And there's enough sea bass scattered around that, that's 3 or 4 now that have been caught by my buddies in the last few weeks. So if you were to go out there and target them, you might actually catch one, or you might just get some incidental bycatch like these guys are getting. Either way, it's great. The only other exciting thing happened along the beach is I guess down in San Diego, the sand bass are biting pretty good down in Imperial Beach, and I actually heard that there's some fish in the mud out there, and they're actually getting on them, sport boats getting on them, and doing some damage when they find them. So that's a good sign of some spawning sand bass down that way. With the barracuda up north, it's kind of getting to be more of a summer pattern here. It's not really happening in Long Beach or Newport right now in that kind of capacity, but it's good to see some signs of things slowly returning to normal as far as that goes. Head down to the Coronado Islands. There really hasn't been anybody fishing down there sport boat wise, and the skips that go down there a lot of times are not good indicators of what's actually happening down there. You hear how it's slow at the Coronados, and then the San Diego went down. They had a charter that wanted to go fish yellows. They had, I think, 70-something fish on their trip. So a lot of times the yellows down there can be hard to locate for private boats. It takes a lot of driving around and nowhere to look. So yeah, if you're going down there in your own boat, don't just assume, hit a couple spots, assume there's no yellows around. They might be, at a different place, the islands. It might be a time of day thing. It might be a current thing. Just put in your time, drive around, look for signs, birds, stuff like that. When I was down there a month and a half ago or whatever, the spots that were holding yellowtail were pretty obvious to, you'd expect them to be there because of the bird life and other things that were happening in that zone. I guess that's it for the coast. Let's head offshore and start down in Mexican waters. The Bight right out of San Diego in a full day range is pretty fantastic right now. They're getting these nice big yellows on kelp patties. They're getting bluefin, yellowfin, dorado, a little bit of everything. Flyline bait is kind of the hot ticket down there, and everything's mostly a catchable size. Not getting those great big bluefins. So it's 30 to 40, 50 pound fish. Bluefin yellows look like they're 12 to 20 pounds. Dorado are a nice size. Yellowfin are mostly 10 to 15 pounders from what I'm hearing. There are some bigger ones down below, like outside Ensenada, and if you go down further, there's better kelp patty fishing down there for the overnight boats, day and a half boats. But it's not a sure thing down there. Some of the boats strike out some days. They find a lot of fish that just won't bite. I guess there's a lot of bait in the area, so these fish are not really, it's not a sure thing when you find them, but there's been some pretty good fishing over the last week here along the, the local banks off San Diego and on down, all the way down to Ensenada. U.S. waters, that stuff's kind of spaced out, moved around, split up. And if you're a Fish Dope member, you can go on there. They had the spotter plane up the other day. If you're not a Fish Dope member, that's times like this when it pays to be one. There's fish scattered all over the place. And they're scattered out enough that you can probably go out on your own boat and have some fish all to yourself and not have to worry about fish around the fleet. They're still biting that Mad Mac, and the spreader bar is better than anything else. They're getting a few fish on poppers and surface lures like subwalk and things like that as well, but overall most of the fish up this way are being caught by trolled lures. My friend Bobby, Garrett, and Brian were out on, I think it was Garrett's boat on Tuesday, and they ended up breaking down at 8 o'clock in the morning once they'd gotten out to the zone where they were fishing out of Marina del Rey, and they need to get towed in, and their boat US driver agreed to run at the speed to allow them to troll on the way home, and they ended up going, I think, 3 for 5 on nice sized bluefin, and they got one came off and one spooled them. So it just shows you, I guess you can even go out and troll in a straight line up there right now and get five bites. Shows there's a good spread of fish everywhere, and you don't need to fish around the other boats. Just go out and find areas. I've watched a ton of YouTube, or not YouTube, but social media posts from people that are trolling these lures and stuff, and all these guys that are catching fish are trolling by birds or looking at the water, breezers of fish, puddlers, stuff like that. So if you're just out in the middle of nowhere and you're trolling, you're probably wasting your time. But if you see signs of life, whatever it is, and you want to troll your lure, go ahead and do it. I'd rather watch paint dry myself, but yeah, it works. Last week I talked about the fish sliding up the line further, and maybe we'll see some off the Channel Islands. The Island Tack out of Cisco's got a couple fish the other day. I think they were on an overnight trip, so they may have been further down the line here towards Clemente or whatever, but I think there's still a good potential for fish up above Nick and SPI right now, and I just be interested to see where they actually caught those fish, if they ever say anything, or if anybody else starts seeing them. But I don't see any reason why there shouldn't be fish up that way. There's fish close to the beach again as well. The Pursuit had I think 6 fish, went like 6 for 30 one day on their way back from Catalina. late last week or early this week. And guys are seeing fish, inside, cat, down, down to Dana Point, scattered around at different times. So don't be afraid to look at that coastal stretch there. We got some, good afternoon weather this weekend. If you want to get a shot of the local fish, I'd go out at like 10 in the morning and start looking. You don't need to be out there first thing, and your chances are better later in the day on those coastal fish usually. Yeah, so something else that's happening coastally this weekend is the Balboa Angling Club is having their BAPS Open tournament. This is a fun event that's run out of the Balboa Angling Club every year. It's open to boaters. You can have up to 3 people in your boat. It's no prize money event. The money you pay goes towards the club and to the awards party. It's a fun event. You weigh in 3 spotted bay bass, over 14 inches, no live bait. If you want to do something with your family or a couple of buddies, check out their website. It's the Balboa Angling Club. Just Google that. Go to their website, events, tournaments. It's a real fun tournament, and you get to weigh your fishing at the club. You don't have to shotgun start the lines in 6 a.m. Just go ahead and start fishing in Newport Harbor. Have your fish over to the weigh-in at the clubhouse there next to the Davies Locker at 2 o'clock or whatever. I got it on my thing here. You can see. But this is a cool event. They do the fishing on Saturday, and then on Sunday the awards banquet is a barbecue. It's at Jimmy Decker's house in Costa Mesa, which is right by Newport. We always have a great time. Everybody hangs out, eats good food, has a couple drinks, talks about fishing. So if you're interested in maybe doing that, I welcome you to come on down and say hello to me if you see me. But that's about it for this weekend. I hope you get out there, get some tuna or yellows, bass, whatever. Whatever you end up doing, I hope you have a great weekend, and good luck.